he would.
Got stuck in the things on my
Yeah.
tongue, so I didn't.
Yeah, it's like it's not like attached
just-
anywhere.
I said,
So you move
yeah. I don't
My
know which
tassel
one.
was falling off
You
because I
should
didn't measure
stand in
it.
like you can see straight.
No, over here.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Only watches.
Yeah, that's all right.
I love that.
We are at an angle.
Yeah, it's like you're
Thank
like
you.
Let's you also like that.
okay, white and blue.
Black. Hello, family. My name is Victoria Chakwambabali, and I'm so excited because today I do have somebody very, very special to my heart and dear to my heart. And I'd like to take this opportunity to request her to introduce herself and tell us who her parents are and how old she is, and if she lives in, where does she live? All right, tell us. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Glenda Tendo. My parents are Mr. and Mrs. Grace Chijambu. I live in Colorado and I'm 17 years old.
So, 17 years old. So when you say your parents are Grace Chijambu, I didn't hear another name for the other parent.
My mom and my dad are both Grace Chijambu.
So in other words, it should be Grace and Grace Chijambu,
Yeah.
right? Or G2 Kijambu.
Yeah, G squared.
They're gonna get us for that one. Well, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you, Glenda. So Glenda, tell us something. If you had a pet parrot, what word would you teach it?
I would just teach it hello because I feel like people don't take the time to say hi to people, and I feel like since parrots like speak a lot and they just are so repetitive, I would just continuously have it say hello to anyone and everything around it. Yeah, right.
So if you teach it hello, would you teach it hello in English or in vernacular? And if
Maybe
you have a
Uganda
vernacular,
and English.
Uganda and English.
Yeah.
Okay, so you speak
Maybe in Spanish too.
So do you speak Luganda?
Yeah.
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 So we can't be sitting over there and talking about you.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. And maybe the other thing I wanted to ask you, if you had a talent, if there is a talent that you don't have and would like to have had, what talent would that be?
That's a good question. I feel like it'd be the talent of dance, because I feel like the way people use it to send messages to different things, like they have body percussion. One of my teachers, he had a dance group called Capoeira, and it's like a fighting. It has messages and it has different ways to like interpret different things in the way that you move your body. And I feel like it takes talent to be able to do it in sync and with other people as well. So I would probably be talent.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
So now that we have you here, I see you decked in gown and cap. So tell us, where are you graduating from, and what level?
I'm graduating high school. I'm graduating from Thomas Jefferson High School. It was a journey because I actually transferred to Thomas Jefferson High School my junior year. So I'm really lucky to have gotten here. It was a journey, especially with COVID and all that. So yeah, thank God for everything.
Well, congratulations are in order, Glenda. So how did it feel getting your high school diploma?
It was so exciting just because I know a lot of people that couldn't make it to their graduation. I know a lot of people that struggled so hard. I know people that made different choices that affected them graduating. And so being able to have that like physical thing that shows, yeah, I graduated, I completed all requirements that I needed for the 12 years of school, it's like, wow, it was so fast. It was like, I remember my freshman year, I walked into orientation and I was like, oh, this is gonna take forever, like 4 years is so long, and like, I look back and I'm like, that was so fast, like that was crazy, and it's 12 years, not actually just 4. I'm just like so lucky to be in the place that I am now, and I'm glad that I had support of my family and friends to get me where I'm at.
How beautiful. How do you feel or think graduating meant to your family?
I think it meant a lot because being that I'm Ugandan, a lot of the things that my parents knew back in Uganda is different. Like we have different traditions here. We have prom, we have schools that our parents probably haven't heard of. We have like different things that we do in America from Uganda, and so I think that it made them really proud because it's a stepping stone to
Right.
what my future is, and like they just want to continue to see me happy, and part of that is getting a good education. One thing is like the best a gift a parent can give their child is an education, because no one can take that away from you.
Absolutely.
So, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. And how do you feel your culture has been, do you feel like your culture has been instrumental in your upbringing and getting you to where you are now? Or yes, if yes, then tell us.
Yes, because I feel like Ugandans, for one thing, they are like really strong people, and they endure a lot, and school is one of the big things that like Ugandans are on top of constantly.
Right.
And so part of being even African is that our parents are always on top of us. They're always pushing us, no matter if you're tired or you're like, oh, I want to go hang out. No, your parents are making sure you're getting this done first, and then you can focus on like other things. And then part of it was, for the longest time, because I went to a school where there was not many Ugandans in elementary school, and so I didn't want to speak my language. I didn't want people to know I was Ugandan, because I no one else was like African. I didn't want people to know, because I wanted to fit in. And then when I got into high school, I met more Ugandans, and I was able to relearn the language again, and I was able to get back into my culture. I was really proud of it. When we had culture days, I would make sure I was the first to sign up, and try to present myself, because people don't know. And so
Yeah, did you ever go through a situation of where you were teased about your culture or bullied about it?
Yeah, I think the one I can remember is in 5th grade. I think we had a culture day, and I did the culture day, and somebody was like, oh, you're African? Yeah. And then he made fun of me. He was like, oh, I guess you don't know English because you're African and this and that. But, I ended up like using that as motivation, like I'm gonna do better.
Yes.
And like I had one of the highest vocabulary scores.
Oh wow.
And I made sure like I'm gonna prove you wrong.
You know what I tell people? English has no accent on paper. So show them that paper and show them that grade, and just be like, okay, look, let's show us your receipts, right?
That is scientifically proven that people who are bilingual are smarter, because they have 2 parts of their brain that they're using.
Did you hear that? Yes, that's so beautiful. So tell us, with everything that you've gone through, of course we went through a global pandemic. How did the pandemic affect you and your schooling?
It actually didn't affect me much my sophomore year, but my freshman year, of course, everyone kind of went into an unexpected lockdown, and everyone thought it was like, oh, 2 weeks vacation, extra vacation.
Right.
We'll be back to school, and obviously it lasted the whole semester, and it was like kind of isolating, because I'm an only child, and so like the only people I had to talk to were my parents, and like although that's fun, it's like I really liked being able to talk to my peers, people my age, and just hanging out with them. But then my sophomore year, since it was a private school and it was smaller, we were in person for the most part.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I think that made it easier. I don't like online school, for one thing.
Neither
I feel like it made me, I don't know, I feel like it was a part of it was the fact that it was isolating.
Right.
And it was harder to communicate with your teachers. In person, you can go to office hours, and you can like stop by like the classroom and talk to your teacher whenever you need to, and it's like they can physically help you understand something. But when it's online, I had to send emails, and imagine there's like 20 other kids in that class sending emails as well, and so you wouldn't even get a response until like 2 weeks later or something, and by that time it's like you already turned in the assignment, what's the point? So I think that was the hardest part of the pandemic, and I'm really thankful that my sophomore year we were in person for the most part.
I agree with you. Having to go through it my own self, and also having to see my child go through it.
Mm-hmm.
And then also trying to maintain, a child's attention span being on screen,
Yeah.
being a boy. That was something, but you live, you learn, right?
Yeah.
I'm just like you. I definitely like to be in class, be able to talk to people. There is so much that goes on. You can miss an assignment just in the process of,
Yeah.
maybe it getting there or not getting there, and then you miss a score just because,
It's hard to pay attention on a screen.
Yeah,
There
I
was
have to say, yeah.
a person in my class, and every single time there was either like 3 people that were asleep during the Zoom call, or like there was somebody playing a video game in the background, and it was like, are we in class, or just people putting on the Zoom call as a like background noise? Or
Too
something.
many distractions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, in what ways have you changed from being in high school? When you look at yourself, from when you started school and now, like how has high school changed you?
I think I learned to be a little bit more outgoing. I walked into high school very shy and very independent. Like I had a very independent mindset, so I I was scared to ask for help because I was like, I can figure this out on my own. And then I didn't reach out. Like the friends that I made, they were the ones that came up to me first. I was very like isolated, like, oh, I can get through this maybe. But my biggest thing, like my biggest advice that I have for people is like regardless of high school, college, make those connections with your teachers and with the people around you, because at the end of the day, like 2 minds work better than 1.
Yep.
You're going to get all the help you need from the students around you, because you might know something that they don't know, and vice versa. And like creating a bond with your teachers is probably the best thing you can do. I think there were some classes that like I did not know how to do certain things in, and when I built a connection with my teacher, when I finally learned how to build a connection with my teacher, it was easier for me to not only ask for help, but it was easier for them to reach out and help me, because they knew the type of person I was as a student, and they knew the type of like they got to know my personality a little bit more, because I built that connection with them, and I was able to like understand who they were as a teacher as well, who they were as a person, and yeah.
So speaking of teachers, is there anybody in your life, a teacher or a leader that you feel that has really touched you or changed the way you see life, or things in general?
Yeah, it was one of my. She actually never taught me. I was never in her class, but I had my 4th period off last year, and it was my first year at a new school. And junior year is probably one of the hardest years to transfer, because everybody knows each other, everybody has their cliques. And during 4th period, I didn't have anyone to go hang out with, and so she had 4th off, and like I heard like she was a cool teacher and all this, so I just went to her classroom, and she would give me advice on how to talk to people. She would she's always been the teacher that had snacks for every student. She was actually, she was one of the college advisor, like AVID programs teachers, and so she like helped people, even if you didn't want to go to college, like she helped people discover what they were going to do after high school. And so she was very helpful in like helping me choose which classes I want to take my senior year, so that like I'm ready and college is smoother than it. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And would you mind sharing her name?
Miss Lynch. Her name is
Miss Lynch.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Lynch, thank you so much. And now that takes us to being in high school. What were your extracurricular activities, or did you have a sport, or if so, which one?
So my freshman and sophomore year, I played soccer, and it was really fun. I was with the older girls a lot because it was varsity. We obviously freshman year, girls soccer is towards the end of the semester, and so we only played about 1 game, and then COVID hit, and so we weren't able to play the rest of the season. But then sophomore year came, and it was really fun. I got to know more girls on the team. And then junior year, I joined BSA, and that was probably one of the best things I've done. I didn't know that being in a club was gonna be fun. Like I said, I was very introverted, and so it took a lot for me to get to a place where I was gonna go to a club, and I heard about BSA and then FCA, which is Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Oh, wow.
And so when I decided to,
Christian athletes.
yeah,
That's interesting.
I decided to join cheer as well, and that's obviously a sport.
We have a cheerleader on our hands.
So I did cheer my senior year, and that's when I looked into Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And lucky for me, the BSA teacher and the FCA teacher were the same person. So it was easy to connect with a lot of the people in the class and get to know different people that were from different backgrounds. Yeah.
It's interesting, in many of the graduates I've interviewed, most are introverted. I don't think I've met yet one that that's an extrovert, And, well, we are yet to see. We live, we learn, right? So tell me, you have some, chords around you. Would you mind explaining what they mean? Because I see a yellow one. May I touch? Yes. So we see a yellow and silver. So what does this one mean?
My seal of biliteracy cord. So it's an award that goes on your diploma. It basically shows that you are proficient in English and then a secondary language. Unfortunately, Luganda is not a language that's on there, but
You could have
I
a black
did.
cord for that.
You have another cord for that. But I got it in Spanish, and you basically go through an AP class and you take this test in both English and Spanish to prove you're proficient, and then they have a whole award ceremony.
That's beautiful. And then the green one, if you excuse my touch, you have a green one.
The green one is my scholarship cord. It basically shows that you got a scholarship to your school, regardless of what type of scholarship it is. I was lucky, and so I have a full ride scholarship. I get to go to school for free. And
That
then,
is beautiful.
yeah, part of it is I also I took my math and English classes in high school or for my first year, so I don't have to take it my freshman year.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So that means so what's your GPA?
My GPA is a 3.5.
I love that. That is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. So tell us, so you've been in school, you're cheerleading, you're doing varsity, you did soccer, oh my God, you're part of a club. So if you were to think of, let's say, a song that would bring back all the memories of you being in high school or everything, summing it all up, what song would that be and why?
I think a popular one is, because I always loved Hannah Montana. That was my favorite show growing up. And at the end of the last episode, she plays a song, and it's called "I'll Always Remember You." And like once you start to listen to the lyrics, it basically is like, I've been looking forward to this day. You think it's far away, but like you have to take the time to cherish the memories with the people around you, like good and bad memories, but try your best to have more positive memories, because those are what you're going to carry with you through life, the lessons that you'll learn from all those things. And so, yeah.
I think that's a beautiful thing. I love that. So you do languages, any other clubs for languages? You've done Uganda.
Oh, yeah. I've done Uganda Academy, and that was really fun.
Right?
Yeah. I think it really helped boost my culture, because like when I was younger, of course, I didn't want to speak my language, and so I almost forgot Uganda. I only understood it. I couldn't really speak it as much. And so when I started taking the Glenda Academy classes, I think it was right before my freshman year, so I think it was 8th grade. I started to learn more Luganda, obviously, that I did know, but it like started to unlock things that I was like, oh, I forgot about this. And it just made me like open my eyes to like, oh, this is something I should be proud of. Not something I should hide because I want to fit in, but it's something that makes me unique. And that's something I have to bring to the table, like being able to say, I have this background. I'm able to speak different languages. I'm able to communicate with people differently. Is a really important thing to have.
I think that's a beautiful thing. And are there any words in Uganda that you'd like to share or say?
I don't know. Jaga kwebaza abazadde bange. That's probably the
miau, wekakwela za devo bani.
Mwami Nemucha Grace Chijambu. Bankoziza Bulunjinyo. And yeah.
Good job! Yay! I'm super proud. Oh my goodness. See, languages, play such a vital role in our lives, and languages, learning them is such a beautiful thing because you never know where life will take you and where you're going to land. And you having the ability now to speak in 3 languages, right? And you're just not even 18 because 17th is your birthday, July, right? So you've graduated, not even 18 yet, so that's, I'm super proud. You speak at least 3 languages, you got the world in front of you. So I'm so happy for you, and I'm excited that you're doing the things that you're doing. So tell us, you told us your GPA was 3.5. Where are you going to college, and what are you going to be doing in college?
I am going to be attending MSU Denver, and I'm going to be majoring in healthcare management. Reason being, I don't know, I've always liked the idea of working in healthcare, but I'm terrified of bodily functions and
Are you scared of blood?
I'm terrified of blood.
Yeah.
But I also love it at the same time. I love learning about how things work, and that's why I kind of liked my science class. I liked my physics class because you got to not only understand what the object that you're working with is, but how it works and why it does that. And that's why I also love my anatomy class, but I was terrified to dissect anything that we dissected in that class.
So who dissected your frog?
My friends, they did. I took notes and I watched and I tried to help, but it was it was scary. But then I took a marketing class my junior year, and I loved the business side of it, but I didn't want to do marketing. So I did a lot of research to figure out what major would fit in this category.
Right.
There's not there's usually the 4 main majors that the doctor, lawyer, and and I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? And I figured out that healthcare management is more like a business management, but you're working in the hospital part. So you can choose between working on statistics part, you can choose the IT part of it, and it just opens up a lot of opportunities in the healthcare field.
It actually does.
Yeah, and the goal is I wanted to become a CEO of a hospital and see how I can change some things in the healthcare system in the U.S. And there was not a lot of schools in Colorado that actually offered that as a bachelor's degree.
Right.
So when I did my research and I found that MSU Denver did, I was surprised and I was happy, and I decided that that's where I wanted to go.
I think that's a really beautiful thing that you're, pursuing, and I think you will have, so much to offer. And I think in everything that you do, of course, you got to do something that you love, because if you don't love it, what's your, what are you using as your fuel? Not even fuel, but more what's the word I'm looking for? I can't quite find the word.
Motivation?
Yes,
Yeah.
your motivation. So it's important to get into, a course that you really love, and you know your whys and why you're getting into it. So I think you will do great. And I think you have so many aunties and uncles, even in the community itself, that are in healthcare, that are doing healthcare management per se as well. So there is so many resources there. So how do you feel having that support? How do you feel it has helped? Has it helped in your upbringing? Having
It does.
all these aunties and uncles.
Yeah, it's very uplifting, and it's something that's really strengthening. There's not a lot of people that I know that have a big family to help them out. And I would go on social media, and during graduation season there's a whole bunch of graduation videos, and I saw this one guy who he got his doctorate, but ever since high school he never had family around him, and so he went through his high school graduation. Everyone has their family around them, and he was just there alone. And then bachelor's, master's, doctorate, he was alone. And it was until he got his doctorate, of course, that he got friends that he could call his family. But I think it really helps to have the support system of like the Ugandan community feels like a huge family, and just knowing that a lot of them have been through the same thing. They've gone through school, they've been in high school, they want to they have pursued the same things as you. And so, like, being able to ask questions about, well, how do you do this? How do you go about this? And knowing that they're there for you no matter what. Like, you answered Victoria, for instance. Like,
Oh,
being
you're
able to ask you no matter what, like, well, how do I go about this? How do you do this? Related to school or outside of school is, like, really strengthening. And
Yeah.
I'm really thankful.
I think it's a beautiful thing, you know? It's a beautiful thing. Well, if you could change anything about your experience, what would it be and why?
I think I kind of wish that I was more outgoing. I never went to school activities really, unless the ones I was required to, like basketball games and things like that. Everyone looks forward to going to basketball games and football games. I think I went to one a year until, of course, when I was a cheerleader, I had to go to like the home games.
Yeah.
But away games, I didn't go either. I was like,
You were tired.
yeah. My first year going to homecoming was senior year, and everyone's like, "Oh, I look forward to homecoming my freshman year." And then it felt like I missed out on a lot of opportunities. We had like a senior pool party I didn't go to because I don't know. I felt like I didn't really want to go. I was like, "Why would I need to go to this? Like, I just want to graduate." That senioritis was starting to hit early, and
I hear this a lot, senioritis.
senioritis was just like, "Oh, I just can't wait to finish." I think I remember like even the week before finals, I was like, oh, when is this gonna be done? But you know, looking back, I really wish that I was more involved in school activities because I feel like I would have made more connections that way.
I think it's a beautiful. Well, I think that when in life we do that. I could have, you know. I feel like sometimes. You know how you just go through life and you sense certain things and you're like, probably not. You're like, I'm saving myself from the pain of such and such, and you end up not doing, let's say, an activity because you're like, if I go, I don't know who I'm going to run into and how people are going to react. So instead of having to go through all of that, you're like, forget that, and you save yourself. You're protecting your peace. Yeah. So sometimes I think in life, you just, it's like. You're very, your body tells you, you know, and you're just like, I'm not gonna do this because I don't know how that's gonna, you know, pan out. So it's something like to do, of course, with your instincts. That's the word I was looking for. So yeah, just trust your instincts and just know that you're making wise choices with what you have been taught, and just keep carrying on, because if it sustained you up to where you are, I think you're doing a great job. Yeah, so what would you tell someone that's attending high school and has probably, let's say it's somebody that has been going to school and maybe has dropped out and isn't in school because there's so much pressure, or maybe there is also a typical situation where people like have ended up not going to school because they started, you know, working and they feel like they're making money and they're just like, you know, forget school. I'm done at high school. What would you advise a person that's dropped out before getting their diploma for high school, or even that person who has stopped right there at high school and hasn't moved on to, you know, college?
I would honestly tell them that they shouldn't, like, I feel like a lot of the time when someone doesn't do something that's great, it makes them feel worse about themselves, and so they're like, okay, what's the point of me even going back to school if I already know, like, I didn't do it in the first place, I made that mistake.
Right.
So they're gonna continue to get harder on themselves, and like, no, obviously people make mistakes, people do things like differently, everyone has a different path in life, and like part of the obstacles makes you the person that you are. It like builds character, and I would just tell them that for one thing, school is always a good backup plan. Like, there's a lot of jobs that don't require school, but I feel like school is one of the most important things that you can have on your back. That degree, that diploma, a lot of jobs look at it and they want to hire you. They want to know more about you as a person. And I think that education is, of course, one of the most important things that no one can take away from you. And like, you can take it one step at a time is probably the one thing I would say. You don't have to rush into certain things, but taking one class a semester or something like that, starting off with like maybe doing summer school or trying to, you know, communicate with your teachers and counselors and advisors and trying to figure out, well, what's my next plan? Like maybe I didn't do it the traditional way, but I can, you know, if it's like a high school diploma thing, maybe study really hard to get your GED. Because that's an equivalent to a diploma, and then you can start slowly taking college classes per semester and see where you end up, and maybe you'll end up liking it and choosing to continue your path in education full time. But I think giving it a chance, because you can't really go wrong with an education.
I agree with you 100%. So if you were a superhero, what would you be and why?
I don't know. I feel like I love the power of invisibility.
Yeah. Why invisibility?
Because I always want to be.
But that's not a superpower.
It's, I feel
Superhero.
like it's
I said, did I say superpower or superhero? Superhero.
Superhero.
Yeah.
I would probably be Captain Marvel.
Why
I don't know if
Captain
many people
Marvel?
have seen that movie, but I think she's a really strong and independent woman. In the movie, she I think did aerospace. She worked with planes, and she was in the army. She was very strong, and I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but something happened in her brain, and so there was like a chemical thing. There was like an explosion, and she developed superpowers, but like she used that to better herself and to better the people around her.
I like her already.
And yeah, and she was just taking her independence and what she knows and started to use that to like, you know, better her community.
And she was Captain
Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
For some reason, when you say Captain Marvel, I'm thinking of some guy, you know?
Captain America and Captain Marvel look very
Look
similar.
similar,
Like their outfits are very similar.
Yeah, it's kind of blue, red, and white probably, right? Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I am so excited to have had you here. Maybe what other, you know, who would you like to say hello to or send greetings to that's out there that's probably watching us? You know, I'd like you to take a minute to acknowledge whoever you'd like to acknowledge, and you know, say what you would like to say to them.
I would like to like take time to acknowledge my friends. First of all, I feel like you can always try to choose like people that are gonna uplift you for the better. And I think that's one thing that I've done a really good job of, is choosing my friends carefully. People that not only want to better themselves, but they want to better you. And so there are times where you feel unmotivated, you're struggling, and they're always there to help you. I remember my college math class that I took this year. Ooh, that was a tough class. It was a tough class.
Yeah.
And my best friend, her name is Cherish. She's incredibly smart. And we would stay up until 1 a.m. She's trying to make sure I understand everything.
Wow.
And then I would take the quiz and I would get an A on it. And I would just be so thankful for her in my life, because she didn't have to stay up until 1 a.m. to
That's
help me
very
out.
true. Yeah.
And so I really am thankful for her. I'm thankful for my mom as well. She'd also be one person that would stay up until 1 a.m. making sure I understood a subject. Same with my dad. Like I remember I had a science fair project that I had to do, and I was struggling because I think the glue was like it was like the Elmer's glue.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're trying to stick
Almost
papers
is
on
gonna
there,
get us on this
it's
one.
like it's like you put too much glue on. I'm like 8 years old. I'm in 3rd grade. I'm like, you can't put too much glue on the paper. It's gonna get wet and it's gonna tear and all that. And so I start panicking and I start crying, and my dad was just helping me out, and he was like, "Okay, don't panic. You know, you got this. Figure this out. You know."
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with that, we're coming to the conclusion here, and I'm so glad to have had you here, Glenda. I am super proud of you, and I cannot wait for what God has in store for you. We're going to be on that MSU campus checking you out with our pom-poms, just rooting you on, in your healthcare management. And we're going to be here, and of course there will be another graduation since you're going to college. So without further ado, I wanted to say thank you so much, and congratulations once again, class of 2023. High five and high.